Welcome, Course 3, back to the Kalorn Show. Today we're on Lesson 84. We're talking about selecting an appropriate rational number. The first thing we need to discuss before we can even jump into this lesson is what is rational. What does rational mean? So I want you to think about rational numbers, brainstorm, put your ideas down, see if they are the same as mine. So you would have to pause your video. And maybe you didn't, but here we are again. Rational numbers, okay, we first talk about real numbers, and then we have rational and irrational. So your rational numbers, remember, would include your integers, okay, those are all your negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, all the way up to 1, 2, 3, okay, they would keep going. So those are all your numbers on your number line, okay, all the whole numbers and their opposites. So moving on, that gives us our whole numbers, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, okay, and whole numbers are all of your counting numbers plus 0, which means your counting numbers, or also referred to as natural numbers, are 1, 2, 3. So here they're talking about just rational numbers. So what is rational if those are your integers, your whole numbers, your counting numbers? What else does it include? Well, rational numbers, the main part of rational numbers that are different from integers, whole numbers, and counting numbers are your fractions or your decimal form of your rational numbers. So what we're going to be talking about today is whether we should use a fraction or we should use a decimal. Okay? Which one? That's what we're going to be deciding. So let's do that. How much is 40% of 1/2 of 1260? So the first step we're going to complete is to rewrite it. Okay? So 40%, except for now we're going to write of. Of means multiply. 1/2 of means multiply. $12.60. So here, what are we going to have to do in order to solve this problem, especially since we can't multiply by percents? We have to either convert our percent to a decimal or a fraction. Which is easiest? Fraction? I would say. Because we already have one fraction, and 40% is very easy to convert to a fraction. We could also call this 2/5. Okay? We could cancel out our 2's because all we're doing is multiplying here, remember? So if we multiply, all of our numerators and all of our are going to be multiplied, all of our denominators are going to be multiplied. So if we can simplify before, we do as much simplification as we can. Remember that $12.60 is over 1, so 1 times $12.60 is $12.60 over 5 times 1 times 1, which is 5. Okay? In order to solve that portion of the problem, we're actually going to have to complete the division. So I'm going to show you the division over here. 1260 divided by 5. And 5 goes into 1 0 times. 5 goes into 12 twice, which is, let me change my color there so you can see. Twice, which is 10. We're going to subtract, gives us a 2. Carry down your 6. Remember to carry your decimal right above. 5 goes into 26 5 times, which is 25. And we're going to subtract again. Carry down the 0. So 5 goes into 10 twice. So our answer, $12.60 divided by 5, ends up being the $2.52. There is your solution for the problem. Now what I would like to go over real briefly is the steps we took to get there. So how can we justify what we did? Well, in our first problem, our justification would be that we rewrote the given information. Okay? We just changed our words into symbols. Our next step is that we multiplied. In that step, we could also put cross-canceling. Okay, in our third step, we actually computed the division. And in our last step, all we did was simplify. We gave an answer. Okay, is our answer correct? Well, what could we do? We could say $2.52 is 40%, so 4/10 of 1/2 of 1260. Okay, so we could go through and check it again. So we could say that 4/10 of 1/2 is actually equal to 1/5, and 1/5 of $12.60. Does it make sense that it is $2.52? Yes, it would, because half of $12.60 would be $6, and 1/5 is much less than half. Okay, so our answer does make sense. Let's move on to the next one. How much is 66 2/3% of 5/6 of $12.60? So here we're going to have to again decide which rational type of number should we use. Well, when we look at this percent right here, this percent is repeating. Okay, repeating percents cause much difficulty, as well as this fraction. Okay, turns into a very ugly decimal. So we know when we're dealing with repeating percents or repeating fractions, we always want to work with the fractions. So we're going to rewrite what number or how much is means equals 66 2/3% is a fraction. Okay, remember is 2/3. Of is multiplication, 5/6 of $12.60. So up here would be our given. Okay, here we are going to rewrite it with symbols, okay, and change our rewrite using our rational number, using correct rational. Okay, so there's that. So when we solve this problem, the first thing we want to do with multiplication again is to cross cancel. So we're going to say 2 goes into 6 3 times. I don't see any other cross canceling. There's a 1 there. So what we're going to first do is we're going to multiply from left to right. So 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 3 is 9. And now we're going to be multiplying by $12.60 over 1. So how are we going to solve for our problem? The first thing we're going to have to do is to multiply right here. Okay? So we're going to take 1260 times 5. Okay, 12 times 5 is about 60, so we should end up somewhere close to there. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13, and 5 times 1 plus 1 is 6. $63. So right now we can say that our amount is equal to $63 divided by 9 times 1 is 9, which should be very simple division because 9 goes into 63 7 times. So we end up with $7. So does it make sense that 5/6 of 1260 is maybe $8 and then 2/3 of that is going to be $7? Yes. What other steps did we complete here? Well, here we multiplied, and in this next step we actually used division, and after we did our division problem we simplified for our answer. So we made our division into $7. Okay, so very good. See how much easier it is to work with that 2/3 rather than a 0.6 repeating. Okay, very difficult to work with. So fractions when we have repeating decimals, please. Last problem for today. In a public opinion survey, 180 of the 280 women surveyed agree or strongly agree with the mayor, while 150 of the 275 men surveyed agree or strongly agree with the mayor. Which choice listed below is the most appropriate way to describe the results of the survey? So are we going to be dealing with 9/14 of the women and 6/11 of the men agree with the mayor? Bad representation just because of our denominators. They don't show any relationship because we don't have the same denominators. How about B? So let's cross off A. 0.643 of the women and 0.545 of the men agree with the mayor. Doesn't means nothing to me. It does show me, I mean, that more women would be agreeing, but I wouldn't like to see that in a paper or in a document that explained the data to me. So we're going to cross off B. 64% of the women and 55% of the men agree with the mayor. There is a value that I can see there, okay? So when we're going to be giving these results, we want to make sure there's a value we can see, a relationship we understand. So there would be your solution. And that was your last problem. Here are your practice set problems in case you forgot your textbook. Complete these problems while it's fresh in your brain and make sure to review them before you come to class. Have a great day, Killorn classroom.